Can see my screen?
Boleh, boleh.
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, guys. My name is Tang from Group 1. Today, I want to present a web server. So, what is the web server? A web server is a computer system that can deliver content to end user via the internet using a web browser. The primary function of a web server is to display a website content by storing, processing, and delivering web pages to users. Besides, web server also support HTTP to respond to client requests made over the World Wide Web. Next, this is the example of web server. The first is Internet Information Server (IIS), then Apache Web Server, Tomcat and Personal Web Server (PWS). The architecture of web server is client server architecture has client task and server task. Client task is provide a way for user to submit query. The client server also can run application that use the result of query and display the result of query. Next, the server task is implement a data manipulation language that can directly access and update the database. So we have three types of client-server architecture. The first is one-tier architecture. This kind of architecture contains scope of setting on a single device. The setting involves configuration, setting data, and marketing logic. All the layers will integrate with the help of a unique software package. The data is stored on local device. The next is a two-tier architecture. This architecture facility has the best environment and it assists in saving the user interface on the system of the user and the related database are stored on the server device. The limitation of this framework include less security and growing user can affect the performance of architecture and least portability. And the last is three-tier architecture. A middleware lies in between the client and the server machine in three-tier architecture. If a user needs specific information from the server, the user will generate the request that will first be received by the middle layer, which will then be dispatched to the server for further action. In the same pattern, the response will be reached at the user end. This architecture has also a few benefits like better security of data and outperform data integrity. The limitation of this approach is the complexity of communication due to the presence of the middleware system. And the next is evolution version of web server. In year 1991, the first web server of the world, known as Sun HTTP, is developed by Berners-Lee and his developer. Sun start transcontinental web communication between browser and web server. In year 1994, the most notable among new web server was SCSA HTTP. It ran on a variety of Unix-based OS and could serve dynamically generate content by implementing the post-HTTP method and the CGI to communicate with external programs. Next, in 1995, the first version of IIS was released for Windows NT/OS by Microsoft. In year 1996 until year 1999, Netscape Enterprise Server and Microsoft IIS emerged among the leading commercial options, various among the freely available and open source programs. Apache HTTP servers topped the list as the preferred server. The year 2000, many other open source programs Lightspeed has excellent quality and very high performance, available with commercial support. The next is the most popular web server in year 2019 and 2020. And the comparison to another web server, why it become popular. We can see this diagram. Aperture is most popular. So why Aperture can become popular? Because Aperture is really flexible and customizable, and the functionality can be easily turned on and off. Aperture also regular update and security patch. Then Aperture also is an open source. It offers user the most flexible environment to run the server. So that's all for me. Thank you. Boleh nampak screen ke?
Nampak.
Hi, my name is Aina and I'll be presenting about web browser. So what is web browser? Web browser is a software application for retrieving, presenting, and traversing information resources on the World Wide Web. And information resources may be a web page, image, video, or other piece of content. Web browser allows users to access information available on the web and share or exchange information or content with other users. These are the examples of web browser: Google, Opera, Apple Safari, Mozilla Firefox, Microsoft Edge. The architecture of web browser, there are three parts in architecture of web browser, which is controller, interpreter, and client programs. The controller will get input from the keyboard or mouse and use the client programs to access the document. The controller obtains the coordinate of the user's cursor and compares them with the coordinates of the objects displayed in the page. And then if a link has been selected, the controller extracts the string from the URL, and this determines which client, HTTP, HTTPS, or FTP, will be used to fetch the document. The browser will fetch the document, and depending on the document type, HTML, XML, PDF, and force the appropriate interpreter to render and display the document. And then in the networking, it handles all aspects of the internet communication and security. The network component may implement a cache of retrieved documents in order to reduce network trafficking. And then the evaluation version of web browser, you guys can read this. Okay. In 1990, the World Wide Web was the first web browser that was developed by Tim Berners-Lee. It was named to Netscape to avoid confusion with www system. And then after that, in 1993, the Mosaic was released, and it was recognized for introducing and popularizing the internet to public. Many of the graphical user interface features of Mosaic, like top-oriented action bar that offers basic browsing functionalities, are still used by contemporary browsers like IE and Firefox. Netscape appeared shortly after Mosaic in 1994. Matt Anderson, the lead of software engineer of Mosaic, forming Netscape after he branched out on his own. He launched Netscape Navigator, the first commercial web browser. In 1995, the Internet Explorer was released by Microsoft, and because of that, the first browser war started for market dominance. In 1996, the Opera was released, and in 1998, the Mozilla was released by Netscape. IE was introduced and it was the first browser what ends with IE being the transform browser. In 2003, Apple joins in by releasing Safari. In 2004, Firefox was released and the second browser war was started, indicated by slipping market share of Internet Explorer. In 2006, Microsoft released IE7, which are their browser 5 years after IE6, incorporating several features from its open source reliable Firefox, such as tab browsing and anti-phishing security. And in 2008 until now, Google Chrome was released by Google. The most popular web browser in 2019, 2020, and the comparison to other web browsers. Google Chrome is the most popular web browser because it can open heavy patch very quickly compared to the others, more secure as it always carries security patches and bug fixes, more compatible, and it is lightweight, quick, and stable compared to early version. So this is the comparison between Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. That's all from me. Next person.
What is Git and what is Git? Git is Linus creator of line type. So main purpose source code for development. And it helps in tracking code, storing them in versions on its own repository. You can create Git in then you can what is Git? Git is a code can be put out on GitHub Lab or Bitbucket. So it's basically just a code that you will once you did the share it in Git. Git has three main parts. Is Git directory. It stores the object database where cloning takes place in the repository and other remote computer. Working tree. These files are pulled out from the database and placed on the disk form. Staging area. This acts as an index part that directs to go to the next commit. This is the three main parts in a Git project. So the next is GitHub. GitHub is a collaboration platform built on top of a distributed version control system called Git. One does not have to worry about losing data on his hard drive or managing a project across multiple computers. So it's like GitHub is the place where you can store your project, your current project and your future project. It acts like a hard drive for the system. Why use GitHub for projects? Version control. It allows experiments and mistakes without messing up in final product. Keep your code in one place. Great collaboration platform. GitHub.com, GitHub desktop. Hello world, GitHub guide. So why you need to use GitHub? As I said, it acts like a hard drive in your system. So you can save all your project in the GitHub. So that's why you need to use GitHub for all your projects. Git is a local repository. GitHub is a central repository. Git is a command line tool that requires an interface to interact with the world. Git can work without GitHub, as other web-based Git repositories are also available. For GitHub, it provides graphical interface and a development platform created for millions of developers. It's the well-known Git server. However, there are other applications like Bitbucket and GitLab. So the Bitbucket and GitLab is the similar applications like GitHub. Next is advantages of Git. Git is a good distributed model as each developer gets a local repository with a full history of commits, which makes Git fast compared to the other version control system. So compared to other version control system, Git is the fastest. Then it is free and open source, can easily download the source code and perform changes to it. Git can handle larger projects efficiently. So to get the Git code, it's just free. You can download and use it in your project and it can handle the larger project. Git is a data redundancy and replications. Add-ons can be written in many languages. So for Git, you can use it in many languages like Python, C++, C, and so on. Git have good and faster network performance and superior disk utilization, and they think about its data like a sequence of snapshots. This is disadvantages of Git. One, Git requires technical excellence and it slows on Windows. They have tedious command lines to input and don't track rename. So the first disadvantages is if you use Git, it will slower your Windows. The second one is Git have poor GUI and usability. They also take a lot of resources which slow down the performance. So Git have a poor GUI user interface and when you use it, it slows down your computer's performance. Third one will be Git doesn't support checking out subtrees. For each project, the central service would need to be set up for multiple package repositories. Last one will be Git needs multiple branches to support parallel developments used by the developers. Advantages of GitHub. Markdown allows you to use a simple text editor to write formatted documents. It supports Markdown for issue tracking, user comments, and many more. Git and GitHub pages. Gits let you convert one or several files into working Git repository. This feature converted sharing and tracking changes made to configuration files and even simple scripts into a whole new level of ease. Collaboration. GitHub is the ultimate tool for collaborative coding. GitHub contains powerful versioning software so that it can handle branching and merging easily. This means multiple people can work on the same piece of code, online or offline, which will be saved in the same Git. So this is like once you save your project in the GitHub, you and your team members can look to the project and you can make the changes. Backup using an online repository should never be considered infallible, but it provides a nice and simply way to have code and version history available online, regardless of what happens to your local machine. So the code is in the GitHub, so you don't need to worry that if the code is already deleted in your computer because it already stored in the GitHub, which is in the online. Advantages of GitHub. The first one, difficult to use for beginners. GitHub is a very powerful tool and so it is hard to get the hang of as a beginner. New users can find many different options and ways of doing this GitHub confusing and overwhelming. So for the first time user, they will find a bit difficult to use the GitHub. Second one is security. GitHub does offer private repositories on both free and paid tiers, but even private repositories have their issue. For high-value intellectual property, you are putting all of these in the hands of GitHub as well as anyone who has a login, which like many sites, has had security breaches before and is targeted constantly. The last one will be pricing. Having own internal servers are often better off using their own internal Git for cost reason. So the next, install Git. So how to install Git? I have a PDF document. So I'll share it here to you in WhatsApp. How to install. Okay, so this is how to install Git. First, you need to create a GitHub account. You can go to this link and create a GitHub account. Then you can install the GitHub. So you just select like 64-bit for Windows or 32-bit. Select and then you can download the GitHub. And then you get these three: Git GUI, Git Bash, Git CM, Git and this. So you can download After that, you just need to follow the instruction in here. Open the git bash, how to configure, add new file, create new repository on GitHub, create new branch, switch branch, merge branch, state the changes, create a commit, push branch to GitHub. So I share this PDF document yourself so you can have a look on it. Okay. So that's about how to install Git in your desktop. Is how to configure Git. I will share the link in WhatsApp as well so you can have a look. How to install GitHub in your desktop. First, you need to open your browser, then you visit desktop.github.com. Then in that website, you can click download for Windows, 64-bit or 32-bit. It's based on your system. Then when prompted, click run. Allow the installation to download and install. Once the installation completes, GitHub Desktop will launch. So this is the steps how to install GitHub in your desktop. How to configure GitHub? Drag and drop repositories from within the file manager to automatically add them to your Git repository. Clone a repository from your GitHub account to your local drive. With a repository cloned to your local drive, you can start working on it locally and then compare, merge, rebase, and more. When work is done, push it back to GitHub by clicking repository push. Working with team, create new pull request by clicking repository pull. So these are the steps to configure GitHub in your desktop. After the installation, you must set your Git username with the command run from git bash. So as you can see, this is the command git config dash global username and your username, where username is your Git username. Okay, so each of you will have like a username and you need to key in your username and set the email address associated with your Git account, again from git bash with the command git config global user.email, where email is the email address associated with your Git account, the email that you use to register your GitHub. So once you run these two commands, make sure to close GitHub desktop and reopen. You can now go to repository, open in command prompt, and you should see the Windows terminal open to the proper folder where you can interact with that repository from the command line. How to configure GitHub, there's a video. I will share you the link later. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Hello, good morning everyone. Can you guys see my screen?
Boleh.
Alright. So today, first thing first, my name is Nurhani Balkis, and I will be presenting about WAM versus XAMPP server package. So, do you guys remember what we have learned during our class last Friday? It is what we've learned, and today I will be presenting about it. So, the first thing, what is WAM? WAM is actually a server package that sometimes used as an abbreviated name for the software stack Windows, Apache, MySQL, and also PHP. It allows you to create web application with Apache 2, PHP, and a MySQL database. Alongside that, PHP MyAdmin also allows you to easily manage your databases. Okay. What is XAMPP? So while XAMPP stands for Cross Multiple Platform, which is Apache, MariaDB as its MySQL, PHP, and also Perl. It is free and a open source cross-platform web server solution stack package developed by Apache friends, consisting mainly on the Apache HTTP server, MariaDB database, and interpreters for scripts written in the PHP and Perl programming language. Both of WAM and XAMPP are Windows web development environment. So, what are the advantages and the disadvantages for WAM? Okay, the advantages for WAM is the server installation and configuration are straightforward. It is a cross platform like XAMPP, and it is available for both Windows and Linux. WAMP also simplifies PHP coding and database creation on the Windows platform. Similar to XAMPP, you can start and stop the web server and the database with only with a single command. While the disadvantages for WAMP, it is not easy to install when we compare it with XAMPP. So, what is XAMPP advantages and disadvantages? The advantages for XAMPP server package is XAMPP is simple to install and configure. It is more simple compared to WAMP. It is also multi-platform, so it runs in both Linux and Windows. PHP, OpenSSL, MediaWiki, WordPress, Joomla, and also other applications are included. It is comprehensive and standard for XAMPP server. But for the disadvantages, the difficulties on using the server package are the configuration and its setting. Okay. So what are the comparison between these two? Okay, XAMPP stands for cross-platform, Apache, MySQL, PHP, and also Perl, while WAMP stands for Windows, Apache, MySQL, and PHP platform. So the platform that is used for XAMPP is a cross-platform, which is Windows, macOS, and Linux, while WAMP, Windows only, not Windows only. It is not compatible to all versions. So for the DBMS, database management system, XAMPP and WAMP both are allowed with using MariaDB and also MySQL. So for the programming or scripting languages for XAMPP, it is used Perl and PHP, while WAMP it only use PHP. And then for the resources for XAMPP, it is more powerful and resource consuming, while WAMP it is lightweight compared to XAMPP. So here's the architecture, model architecture for a locally distributed web system. So both WAMP and XAMPP are using the same architecture. For locally distributed web system, the web system requires one authority's DNS server for translating the website name into one or more IP addresses. So this is the bigger picture of the architecture. Each web server can access all the site information independently on the degree of content replication. The web system requires DNS server for translating the website name into one or more IP addresses. So this name server typically belongs to a network different from a LAN segment used for the web servers. It has to be noted that the system architecture for a modern website consists also of the back-end nodes that typically act as data servers for dynamically generated information. Okay, so how do we use WAMP and XAMPP? Okay, the first thing we need to do is of course install, and then the second one we will configure, and then I will show you the tutorial how to use it. Okay, let me share my other screen so that you guys can see. Okay, first thing first, what you need to do is, of course, to install and configure the server package, and by changing the port number. Don't worry, I will give the documentation of the tutorial for both server package in our group WhatsApp. But I will show you how to use WAMP and XAMPP server, and then show you the final output when we use these two server package. So as you can see, this WAMP server, before we start, we need to click on the WAMP server application file. So you will see this green icon, WAMP server icon, which is mean the services are up and running. So what you need to do is you need to click left click on that icon so that it will appear this tray icon, this tray screen. And then what you need to do is to start all services. So after that, okay, as you can see here, the hyperlink addresses in this picture as you can see, it shows that the folder path as the hyperlink. It is because this is before we use the server package. As you remember our tutorial before, when we want to access our file, we need to enter our folder path as our hyperlink. But after we use the hyperlink address, we will use localhost as our addresses. So after you click the start services, and then you search localhost the uh, with our port, and then it will show you the interface of one server. So that is means that your server is successfully you can use it successfully open. Okay, so that you can see. Okay, to use it, the first thing what you need to do is you need to of course create a new folder for your project inside your new one folder, and then you can upload the files so that when you open your project into your new browser using localhost address, so the system will be open using that addresses. So you don't need to access it using your file folder path anymore. So for the database server, what you need to do is also the same step as you open start the services with one server. So but you just click on the PHP MyAdmin so that it will appear to this interface, which is PHP MyAdmin for you to log into your database account, and then you can create your database inside your PHP MyAdmin. So that one is for XAMPP. WAMP, I'm sorry, WAMP. And then for XAMPP, what you only need to do is when you open up the XAMPP control panel, what you need to do is only click on the action button, which is start action button for both Apache and MySQL module. So when you click this two, you can go to the new browser, search up your localhost addresses, and also your folder name inside your folder that you have been created, and then it will open up to the content of file inside that folder. As you can see here, this is the example. And then when you want to access to the database server, what you need to do is only click on the action button, admin action button, so that it will open up to your database server. Okay, so that's all for WAMP and XAMPP, how to use WAMP and XAMPP server. So don't worry, I will share to you guys the tutorial for installing, configuration, and also the tutorial on how to use both of these package server. So that's all from me. Thanks for watching.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes,
Can,
can.
of course.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Lei and I will present front-end development. What is a front-end developer? Front-end development is the process of creating front-end interface such as web page or apps to present to user through HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and various technologies, frameworks, and solutions derived from them to achieve the user interface interaction of internet products. Front-end developers build how a website looks. What is a front-end framework? Front-end frameworks provide the logic, structure, design, behavior, and animation of every element you see on screen while interacting with website, web apps, and mobile apps. Front-end framework generally refer to the framework used to simplify web design. The use of a wide range of front-end development kits such as jQuery, Bootstrap, and so on. These frameworks encapsulate a number of functions such as HTML document manipulation, a beautiful variety of controls such as button, form, and etc. The use of front-end framework can help to quickly build websites. How front-end development works? In the front-end development of page layout, HTML defines the elements, CSS positions the display elements, and then JavaScript implements the corresponding effects and interactions, especially as the most important programming language for front-end JavaScript. Front-end engineers use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other professional skills and tools to realize the product UI design draft into a website product, covering user PC and mobile web page, dealing with visual and interaction issues. Visual content come into contact when browsing the web, from forms to color as well as drop-down menus and sidebar. Advantage and disadvantage using front-end framework. Advantage: responsive. A responsive layout is a website that is compatible with both various computer monitors and browsers and various mobile devices such as cell phone. It can respond accordingly to different devices in terms of layout. A next, easy and quick to get started. There are a large number of templates for web front-end framework design, and designers only need to use this template directly accordingly to the content of their web page to design web page quickly without starting from every details and avoiding spending a lot of time. And the third is the code is reliable and tested. Code is widely used, especially open source. Close browser compatibility is built in, so you know where it will work. And the disadvantage for using front-end framework is learning the framework and know the language. Relying heavily on a framework can mask some of the learning required to obtain a better understanding of the system or language itself. For example, problems and challenges in jQuery differ from those encountered while creating simpler JavaScript. Next, overly complex for simpler projects. Front-end frameworks can add unnecessary brought to a simpler landing page or microsite projects that don't often benefit from the efficiency they provide. And the third is update can introduce bugs. When it comes to changing the core framework file, the way a developer extends or uses a front-end framework can have a direct impact on the site stability. It may or may not break the entire site, causing confusion for both the website owner and the developer. The most popular front-end framework got three. The first one is Vue.js, the second is React, and the third is Angular. That's all from me. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, guys. So today I would like to present about back-end developer. So what is back-end developer do? Back-end developer will how the website work. Manage the database, user, security, and performance of the site. So boleh cakap bahasa Melayu? Back-end developer ni ke back-end sabar diamlah. Back-end ni dia berfungsi seperti user akan mohon kepada klien untuk apa-apa dia nak lah. So dia akan benda tu akan request kepada server dan server akan reach ke database. And then benda tu akan berbalik, database akan send ke server dan akan hantar balik kepada kita. Macam screen ni. So when the server grant the access, so it will show what we want from the database. let's say we want to see cat. So it will show the cat. So back-end developer duties and responsibilities: be involved and participate in overall application lifecycle, main focus on coding and debugging, collaborate with front-end developers, and many more. Later, I will share this folder with you guys. So what is advantage? Run in different environment, make information sharing faster. And for this disadvantage, there is no personalized automated operation, and the amount of operation is limited. Most popular backend framework, for example, is Django, Laravel, Rails, and Express.js. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hello,
Yes.
nampak tak saya punya skrin?
Nampak.
Nampak?
Nampak.
Okay. Hello, saya cakap bahasa Melayu ya? Okay. Saya Usina Fazana. Saya akan explain pasal full stack development. Okay. Apa itu full stack developer? Okay, full stack developer ni adalah seorang yang handle yang termasuk sekali back-end dan front-end development. Okay, what is full stack framework? Full stack framework ni dia collection of software yang provide complete end-to-end solution for web development. Maksudnya software framework ni provide basic structure untuk web application. Ia boleh digunakan untuk develop sebarang apa-apa web application. Apa itu full stack developer yang perlu buat? Okay, full stack developer ni kena up to date dengan yang paling latest teknologi dan alatan. Writing clean code untuk front end and back end, menolong untuk memilih teknologi yang tepat untuk apa-apa project development dan test sistem dalam kedua back end dan front end. Okay, lepas tu dia kena ambil peduli pasal security, maintenance, scalability dan banyak lagi pasal developing. Okay. Kelebihan dan kekurangan full stack framework. Kelebihan ni adalah untuk menambah baikkan, help to improve efficiency of development process, provide higher level of flexibility, dan dia punya kekurangan adalah dia memerlukan masa yang banyak dan proses dia akan slow down. Okay, itu sahaja daripada saya. Thank you.
That's all for today's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.